Hi, I'm Bill Corcoran Jr., and I'm your host for the On the Stacks podcast. Today, I'm chatting with photographer Darren Elias. Welcome to the On the Stacks podcast, Darren. How are you?
Oh, I'm well. Thank you. Thanks for asking. You waited till 23 to have me on?
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of a jackass.
It's a little hurtful.
I can't believe I waited this long.
No argument here.
Which, by the way, I had to use the word jackass from the Webster's new unabridged dictionary. In the sentence, it's kind of like a new thing, I guess.
It's a big dictionary.
Yeah, Mike Mann picks the word, and I'm forced to use it in a sentence.
Got that out of the way early.
How'd I do?
I think
Good.
you did well.
Mike Mann gives thumbs up.
I thought you were going to call me that word.
Well,
maybe later.
I'll save it for the end.
The show's not over yet?
I'll save it for the end, yeah. For the
begs
finale.
the question. Is this a PG-13 or an R-rated podcast?
Whatever you want it to be.
Okay, just wanted to check on language.
Yeah.
So, all right, very good.
Darren was on the Stacks at one point back in December. We did a real funny Christmas on the Stacks one, if anyone remembers that. That follows me and Darren on social media. But yeah, now we're having him here on the podcast. I think Darren's very talented, and I love to have him share his story. So,
thank you.
Yeah. So when you're not taking photos for On the Stacks, what are you up to?
Usually taking photos of other things. Hanging out with my wife, hanging out with my daughter, playing with my dog. But when I can, I'm out there shooting nature shots and a lot of Harvey's Lake sunsets and Ricketts Glen and the other beautiful things in our area. I travel, get shots when I can. That's kind of, that's the downtime part of it. And then, get the headshots going and things like that. So it's not all about the stacks, but that's a big fun part of it.
What
that's
do you mean?
Sure. It's funny how the stacks have evolved so much and how some of the props have gotten almost they've raised the bar so high that you can't compete anymore.
I know.
I mean, we had a forklift in here as a prop.
Yeah.
So, what do you do? A car, perhaps?
If we can fit it.
Can we get like someone bring a Corvette in here or
if
a Lamborghini?
If it fits through the dock and through the building, it's happening.
I leave it in your capable hands to find cool props.
Yeah.
And people to bring them.
Yeah. No, everyone. It seems like it's like a competition. Everyone's got to keep topping the next guy. And I'm okay with that. I love it.
It just raises the bar. Sometimes they bring props and it's like, okay, what do we do with that exactly? And we run.
Yeah.
We run with it. That's all we do.
Yeah. So take me kind of back to the beginning. You've been a photographer for a number of years. How did it all start?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, back to the beginning. I was born. My mother had a camera when I was a kid. She had a Minolta 35 millimeter. And so that was kind of like always kicking around the house. And I played with that. And my grandmother from Germany, she was a big photo buff. She always had a Kodak Instamatic camera in her purse with a little flash cube that would rotate after every shot. So photography was always in the family as a kid. Just, it was just there. And, my generation, we grew up looking at photo albums, whereas the current generation grows up looking at Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and that kind of stuff. So I just started playing with the camera. My mother then sent my sister and I to a college for kids course at King's or Wilkes. I can't remember which it was. It's too far long past in history. And we were taught a course on black and white photography, including how to develop, by Ned Rowan. Ned, I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. He was our instructor. I just recently reconnected with Ned on Facebook, and it made me eight all over again.
How long ago was this that you, high school? That you took this course?
No, those kids on college for kids. I was probably 7 or 8 years old.
Oh, that
long
young.
ago. Yeah, maybe 9, but I don't think so. I think it was really young.
Okay.
And they set us loose on Public Square with cameras, take pictures, and we had to go back into the darkroom and develop them. And like kids play with film in the darkroom. Maybe they wouldn't do it today because someone would get stop bathed in their eye and they'd sue the school or something. But back then, you really got to hands on, and it was great. So that was as a kid, and then I dabbled with cameras over the years, and I kind of got away from it, like computers and girls in high school and cars and all those kind of things, just replaced all that. And then digital photography came about, and I took an interest in that. Like, it was still out of the price range of the modern consumer because a small 2 megapixel digital camera was like $20,000. But then I took a trip to Germany with my grandmother and one of my buddies, and I bought a new 35 millimeter camera. I got a Minolta right before I left and shot, I can't remember, a few dozen rolls of film over there, and I fell in love with it all over again. I had a scanner in my computer, and I, had all the pictures developed. I didn't develop them myself. I developed them at Ritz Camera in Boscov. I think they're gone now. And I brought in 30-some rolls of film. I had them held below my waist, and I said, "Hi, you still have a 24-hour turnaround on developing, right?" And he goes, "Yes, we do, sir." And I dropped this bag that sounded like a thud on the counter. The guy's face turned white. I'm like, no, just kidding. Take your time. I had him in a few days. But it really ignited the passion I had in that from when I was a kid. And like I said, I had a scanner, so then I'd take some of these photos I took, and I'd scan them, and then work on them in what was a very early version of Photoshop, make changes and whatnot. It was very crude because the scanner was, a consumer scanner, so it wasn't that good. So the picture quality was kind of from a scan. And then digital cameras started coming down in price, and I picked up one of those, and it's just been kind of, foot on the gas pedal ever since.
Very cool. So has there, besides that, I mean, is there anyone else that kind of helped you get started or that you learned from, or are you mostly self-taught?
No one else said, here's how you do this. So I didn't have a really hands-on instructor other than when I was a child, but it's, like a lot of things in today's society, you just kind of go online and you look and you see people who are doing amazing things, and sometimes you get to meet them. And there are some photographers that I latched on to, if I can, mention names here.
Go ahead, yeah.
I mean, Joe McNally, he's a National Geographic photographer, among many other hats he wears. He's an amazing author and instructor. And I started following his stuff. I went to some of his seminars. I have all of his books. I read all of his books. I've probably seen every video the guy's made. It taught me how to use a flash, which for a lot of photographers can be a very daunting experience. Joe made it easy and fun. There's a saying out there you probably heard is never meet your heroes. This was a case where I met the guy, and he was even nicer in person than he comes across in his videos and his writing and stuff like that. So that was great. Kevin Fleming, he's a photographer down in Delaware. Again, he shot for Nat Geo. Does amazing work, and he taught me to kind of push color a little bit in my photos by looking at his stuff. And every now and then I'd post something on Facebook, and a day later I get a message from Kevin where he will have taken my image, re-edited it, and basically said, here's how you screwed up, here's where you screwed up, and that kind of thing. So I learned a lot that way. So I never asked him to do that. He never asked. He just did it, and you learn from that. Then there are other photographers out there whose work I just admire, and I don't want to say I try to emulate, but I learn from. And you try to pick up pieces here and there as you mold your own shape and your own style. And like Annie Leibovitz, she's a famous portrait photographer, does Vanity Fair among other things. Vincent Versace, he's a landscape and portrait photographer. Some of these people are very modern. I can say, oh yeah, Ansel Adams. What photographer doesn't love Ansel Adams and Richard Avedon? And there's a host of others that have come before, and all modern photographers stand on their backs. But a lot of photographers whose backs I'm standing on are people who are still out there actively shooting today and are actively doing videos and podcasts and whatnot and writing books that I can take and learn, and I can email them, and sometimes we'll hear back, and these people have millions of followers, so if you hear back from them, hey, you did something right, or they were just more busy that day. But yes, that's who I learned from. I was self-taught, and then the litany of teachers on the internet.
Mm-hmm. So you do headshots, landscape photography, and environment and lifestyle, right?
Yes. Right. So headshots, we all know what a headshot is. And, it's people use them for corporate purposes or whatever else. Then the portrait photography, from the solo shots, they're kind of just an evolution of the headshot. And by calling them an environmental portrait, that's just a face and a place where you're taking a picture of, say, Bill Corcoran Jr. at Corcoran Printing, but you want to make sure you show the background of the print floor. So it says, here's the man, here's where he is, rather than here's the man in a blurry, out of focus background. So that's what environmental portraiture is, this face and the place. And landscape, I think, kind of that explains itself. Just anytime out there in nature and can get a pretty shot.
Like the Harvey's Lake canvas we have here in the studio today.
Well, like the Harvey's Lake canvas in the studio. Yeah, that was actually shot on the summer solstice, I think in 2018. That day, that night and the following morning, people all over Pennsylvania are posting these amazing photos of sunsets, and they all look kind of like that. It was just crazy, crazy sky.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a good sunset photo?
Right. I like to think that.
No, it's true.
I was talking to Michael McLaughlin from Halibut Blue the one time, and I made a comment that had him burst out laughing, and I said, I try to take pictures that I would hope people want to hang on their walls. And he just burst out laughing at that because I guess it's such an elementary concept.
Yeah.
But it's it's what I do when I'm shooting landscapes. It's like, okay, either I want to hang this on my wall, or I want somebody else to say, hey, I like that. I'm going to hang that on my wall or hang it in my office, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's always kind of a goal.
So what is a photo, or if there's more than one, that you're most proud of?
Oh my God.
I guess there's a lot.
Who's your favorite kid?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know this was going to be such a controversial question.
No, it's not. It's not that it's controversial, Bill. It's not. It's just funny because you kind of take a photo and you always hope the most recent photo you took is your best photo because you always want to be improving, and you never want to hit a photo where you go, oh wow, that's my best work ever, because it's not. You have, in the modern day with the digital camera, you go out and you shoot 100 images and come back with maybe one good one if you're lucky. So anytime I go out, I hope my next shot is my best. But if I have to go back in time, one that I really, really loved was of Air Force One. It's when President Obama visited the Valley. He was here to talk about the economy or jobs or something like that. And I had a friend who I met, actually a whole circle of friends I met playing video games of all things, Halo 2 on Xbox. Throwing way back when, and they were all in the military, and they worked for the administration, worked for Bush, and they worked for Obama after that, and some of them continued on with Trump. And I got a call one day from one of them who, Facebook came about then, so I actually got kind of meet, I'm making finger air quotes here, I got to meet them online. And one called me and said, hey, how far are you from Scranton? I told him, I'm half an hour away. And he says, I'm going to be there on Wednesday. Do you want to meet for lunch? Sure thing. Got there for lunch, met my friend Omar for the first time ever in person. It was funny hearing him in stereo and live instead of in a little earpiece in your ear from playing video games. And 15 minutes in the conversation, he says, so what are you doing on Tuesday or whatever day it was? And I said, well, working. He says, do you want to meet the president? It's like, I think I could probably get off work. So it took my at that time, my girlfriend's daughter, now she's my daughter, Gabrielle, and my nephew Tyler. And we went up and sat in the VIP pool, or stood in the VIP pool, waiting to meet the president. And down came Air Force One. I think the pilot had to have both feet in the brakes, landing on that short runway with that giant jet. It came around, the guy came off, came down, shook hands, hopped in the limo, it started to rain, and that was that. But I got this photograph of the 4 Secret Service people that were there, and they were 4, probably like 80. They just suddenly multiplied like Agent Smith in the Matrix. All of a sudden, once Air Force One landed, Secret Service people started appearing out of thin air. It was the craziest thing. But I got a picture of 4 of them standing there with this bleak, dreary, threatening November sky above Air Force One. And it got some notoriety. It won some awards and appeared in Photoshop User Magazine. And it was just one of the things where being in the right place at the right time, knowing the right people, got me the right access, and that was that.
That's a really cool story.
Yeah, thank you. It's probably a little long for your podcast.
No,
I apologize.
No, that's great. It's
Thank
perfect. Perfect story. So, did you mention your friend's name?
Omar.
Yeah. Okay, so he's the one that made the connection.
He's the one who made the connection. Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then since then, it's just. I got to meet several other members of that group. They were all down there in the D.C. area, and I went to a Photoshop World conference in D.C. and ended up crashing on one of their couches, Andy. And Andy and I have become like thick as thieves now. And it's just another one drove up from North Carolina to meet me, and we sat in this restaurant called Lucky's down there in Alexandria. And we probably were on the verge of getting thrown out because we just couldn't stop laughing. I mean, here were 3 guys who've been playing games for 8 years, getting together for me for the first time with them, and it was just a riot. There was no photography talk. It was all just making fun of everything in the world.
Yeah,
it was a good time.
Nah, that's cool. That's a really cool story. Did you get to actually meet President Obama at the time?
I did. Got to shake his hand. It was this really awkward moment where it's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you too. Thanks for coming. Oh, thank you for coming. Oh, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah. It was the strangest thing, and it's like, all right, this is odd. And I was ticked off because again, I had my camera. I got the shots. Got him shaking my nephew's hand. Got him shaking my daughter's hand. Here they are. They're 2 kids in my family meeting a U.S. president before I ever did, or before pretty much anyone in my family ever did. And it was kind of neat. But Secret Service tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Don't ask him to pose for any pictures. He's on a tight schedule." Like, okay, no problem. I'm not gonna mess with Secret Service.
So no selfie of Darren and
no
Obama.
Selfie with Darren and the president. No, correct.
Ah, shucks.
So I just shook his hand and he moved on. Well, and the people next to me, to my left, they're getting pictures of their arms around him and he's posing, hands on their back. It's like son of a
Yeah.
So missed an opportunity for a picture with the president, but it's all cool.
You got snubbed.
I got snubbed.
But you won the award for you won the award for the photo of the jet. Right?
I did. But I got snubbed for playing by the rules. They said don't ask. I didn't. No, nobody told them, I guess.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, well, that's a really cool experience.
Thanks.
So where do you get inspiration from?
Oh wow. Looking around, driving. When it comes to portraits online, I subscribe to Vanity Fair magazine because again, Leibowitz shoots them a lot, and there's just a lot of great photos in them. If I had a larger budget of money to just waste, I'd probably buy every issue of Cosmo and Vogue and GQ and Details because they have some of the best portrait photography going. And when it comes to taking pictures of say high school seniors, they're seeing the pictures online and they're seeing pictures in magazines and magazine covers. They're not looking at pictures in photo magazines. So it does me no good to grab a copy of, Shutter magazine and say, oh, look what this guy's doing. Because teenagers aren't seeing that. They're seeing whatever's flown out online. So you got to kind of follow, what they like and what they're going for to try to stay relevant. And try is a big word because it's a very fast moving world. Mm-hmm. The competition is really high. Camera phones these days, your smartphone could take almost as good of a picture as a DSLR. So you really got to hustle to stay ahead of, just the click and shooters and the people who got their camera for Christmas and stuff like that. You just got to work and work hard and work a lot.
Yeah. So how has that been a challenge for you, over the years, especially as technology has evolved? I mean, how has that affected you?
How has technology affected me? I try to roll with it. Try to stay current. Again, I read a lot. I spend a lot of time reading, photography magazines and blogs and whatnot to keep up on the latest tech and techniques. And sometimes the tech, hey, that's great. That's a $6,000 flash. That's not exactly my budget right now as a new homeowner. So you make do with what you have. And there are guys out there who will tell you, hey, get the $30 Chinese brand flash on Amazon, and if it breaks, who cares? Because you just go get another one. Well, that's great when you're shooting stuff in your backyard. But when you're with a portrait client out on location somewhere, you can't have your gear crapping out on you. So you have to make sure you buy somewhat decent stuff, if not the best of the best. Get the best you can afford. And it's kind of, with cameras, it's always a chase. So I had a Nikon D810. It was a great camera. I bought it, took it to Alaska, loved it. Right after I got back from Alaska, the D850, which was right here in front of me, came out. Higher megapixel count, not a big deal, but had other really cool technology in it having to do with their flashes. And it's like, wow, what do I do here? Well, I sold the D810 in the blink of an eye, and I got rid of two D700s I had to also trade up camera bodies. Because at the end of the day, you can say, wow, I love this camera, and I have really good memories of the camera. It's a screwdriver. It lets me do a job. It's a tool that gets an end result. And when this screwdriver can't do what new screwdrivers can do, it's time to get the new screwdriver. So that's the gear chase in technology, is just trying to make sure that your camera is, it handles noise well enough, or it handles high ISO, or it doesn't make noise you're taking pictures, so you can shoot at weddings and not disturb the bride and groom and the priest and that stuff like that.
And what about backpacks? Have you gotten any new backpacks lately? Aren't they?
You jackass! My wife won't let me get any more backpacks. Thank you. I have this. I had an online campaign last Christmas for. I wanted a Mindshift think tank backlight 26L in forest green.
And you'll shoot your eye out.
And I'll shoot my eye out. And I got the backpack, and it's awesome, and I love it. And my daughter took a picture of me with it when we were out shooting a waterfall.
Is it the green backpack?
It is green.
I know exactly what photo this is.
It is forest green.
It's weird.
Well, it's not weird.
It's weird that I know that photo this is.
That is a little weird.
I know. Yeah.
But Mindshift, the company makes it, actually ran it on their Instagram page. They featured it.
Oh, that photo?
Yeah, that photo that Gabby took of my backside of the bag hanging off my hip.
Yeah.
So but no, there's another bag or two I want, but Heather won't let me get them yet. She says when I sell some, I can get rid of some.
Oh, is that the rule?
That's the rule. I mean, I have it's a sick addiction to camera bags. They all have their place, and none of them have sentimental value. Well, one has sentimental value, but the rest of them they have their place and they have their use. Like tonight, I have a certain bag I bring from the stacks because it fits.
Do you have an on the stacks bag?
I do. It's not. It doesn't have a monogram on it. It says on the stacks. That'd be weird. So, well,
that'd be cool.
Give me a sticker. I'll put it on.
Sold.
But because it holds the right gear, it holds 3 flashes, it holds a reticulation arm, it holds the camera, it holds other gear in it. It's perfect. And today I needed a bigger bag because I need to bring more stuff. So I moved everything out of that bag in a different bag. It's all functionality.
It's all about the bags.
My wife says until we buy a bigger house, I can't have more bags. So I got to sell some. So that's that.
That's the bag situation.
Thanks for asking the bag question. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew you'd enjoy that. Yeah. I knew the bags are important.
I'll tell you right now, Bill, I'm not alone. I think every photographer out there has some kind of weird bag fetish where it's like we all have to have that new bag. That one's blue. that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Nah, that's funny. Do you have a favorite type of photo that you like to shoot? I mean, besides, like do you prefer headshots or the sunset landscape photography or
No, I don't have a preferred. They're all very different. I mean, a headshot is, it's kind of a very technical but intimate thing. Like you're working with someone, you're telling them, move this way, move your face a fraction of an inch. You've been in front of a squinch. That's a Peter Hurleyism. He's a headshot photographer at New York City. He's one of the best in the world. His stuff has been an inspiration as well. You tell people you got to move your eyes this much, tilt your head this much, and it's all a fraction of an inch and very detailed, and they're afraid to move. And you still got to remember that's a living, breathing human being who's becoming very self-conscious of the fact that they're getting a bead of sweat on their forehead or whatever else. But you have to deliver a good picture. So there's that work and whatnot in it. But it's still a lot of fun. Usually those sessions are accompanied with a lot of laughs. And the same thing with, family portrait sessions of high school seniors. It's usually just a good time. Like if we're out there shooting in the woods and there's flashes going off and whatnot, we're chasing the good light and staying out of these shadows or making sure the background's good. There's a lot of laughs going on. And if there isn't, then we're doing something wrong. And then comes the landscape. That's when there's no lights going with me. It's a backpack, forest green, a tripod, and you have to slow down. You just kind of take it easy. You're really taking what's going on around you. And quite literally, you slow down time. I use a lot of long exposures where water is smoothed out as time passes by, and clouds get streaky and waterfalls turn silky, and you just gotta kind of breathe and take it in and make sure you compose it right so that branch isn't sticking in, or you get that leaf on the rock, or whatever other artistic foible you want to put on it. You take a breath and do it, and just enjoy, because there's no one who's looking at their watch saying how many more pictures is this guy going to take, other than my daughter when she was, Dad, how many more pictures are you going to take? No, she's actually very, very, very cooperative.
Gotta watch for the photo bombers.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. When I go out into nature to do my shots, I tend to pick the times when people aren't there. If I'm at Ricketts Glen, for example, shooting waterfalls, we're walking in the park as it's still dark. And once I've seen 2 hikers on the trail, I'm like, that's it. It's too crowded. I'm out of here. You could ask my wife, ask my daughter, ask my friends that. It's like I get uppity when other people start showing up, because it's like then I know the clock is ticking. It's not just because people are there. It's because as they're arriving, the light is moving. The light is going more overhead. Once the light starts beating on the waterfalls directly, it's really hard to do the kind of stuff I like to do. So it's like, okay, now it's time to pack up and just hike out and enjoy the nature trail. But, I mentioned the whole thing about how many more shots is this guy going to take? My wife always tells our portrait clients, like, he's going to tell you he's done, but trust me, he's not done. Until you see him put the bag in the car, he's not done. It's like, oh, wait, look at this over here. Let's go over. Oh, that kind of thing. But my wife and I, when we were just dating, we were hiking, and we got to a spot at a waterfall I wanted to take a picture of. And she pulls a towel out of her backpack and just sits down and just taking in nature. And I'm there looking over her, and she's just taking it in, no pressure. I could have stayed at that waterfall for a year, and she would not have complained, because she was watching me do something I absolutely loved. Years later, at that Photoshop World conference down in Washington, D.C., an amazing celebrity portrait photographer, Judy Host, actually critiqued my portfolio, and it was a mind-blowing experience in hearing this feedback from her. And we got to talking about that same story. And she said, Darren, if you meet someone who is really supportive in what you love to do, marry her. Well, at that same waterfall where Heather sat patiently, I asked her to marry me a few years later.
Nice.
So, yeah.
You proposed there?
I proposed at that waterfall.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and we went there, and the guys were taking pictures. And I got in a spot where I wanted to shoot, and Heather got out her towel, and she's gonna sit down on the wet rocks. And I reached into my gear bag. This is the one bag that I'm sentimental.
Oh,
on.
I was gonna say, yep.
Yeah, it's because she got it for Christmas, and her engagement ring was in there.
Okay.
I reached into the bag and I said, "Where did I show you this new piece of gear I got?" And she was like, "Oh dear God, what did you buy now?"
Again.
And I turned around, went down on one knee, and the rest is history.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
So what did that photographer say, the one down at the conference, about your portfolio? Like, this guy's a jackass. He doesn't know what he's doing.
There's that word again. You're abusing the word.
I had to. It was just, you kind of set me up for it.
No. If anything, I think Judy, God bless her heart, I think she may have been nicer than a lot of critiques. Either that or she genuinely liked my stuff. I don't know, but she was very, very favorable in it, and she liked the detail and the colors and so on and so forth. And I walked out of there kind of feeling good about myself. And then you push forward and say, okay, what's next?
Yeah. So how long? I'm looking at because it's like right behind you. And I've been staring at it this whole time, and I've seen some other ones. But how long does it take to get like a good photo like that of that sunset at Harvey's Lake? Was it a long exposure? Is that what you guys call it?
Yeah, it's a long exposure. Us guys, and gals, yes, that's a long exposure. That particular shot was probably about 2 minutes. So there's a neutral density filter on the front of the lens. It's basically a sheet of black glass. It's like putting sunglasses on your lens that lets the shutter stay open longer. So things that are moving just kind of get streaky and keep going by. Normally you take a picture and the shutter's open and close in 1/250th of a second or something. So it's a click done. With the long exposure, it stays open, and the light just keeps hitting it and hitting it and hitting it, impacting it. And that's the one time when I don't like when boaters are going slow in the lake. It's like, now you're forming a black streak in my image. Can you please just hit the throttle?
Get your boat off the lake?
Get your boat off the lake. Oh, what's wrong with you? I was on a dock a few weeks ago, and I was taking a picture of the sunset, and a fisherman was slowly drifting by in front of me, and he said, "Oh, you see the eagles there, like pinning trees behind me?" And I kind of went to the edge of the dock. It's like, "Oh, those are cool." I didn't have a long lens on me, so I couldn't get those things if I tried to. I go, that's great. And they weren't. It's eagles in Pennsylvania. That's awesome. And then his boat drifted more and more in front of me, and he goes, "I'm going to drift into your shot and ruin it, aren't I?" And I just kind of looked at him and smiled and shook my head, and I was like, "No, it's okay." It was a missed opportunity. I drove home kicking myself that night because the light was just right. He had, his rod in the water, and what I should have done, rather than letting him speed away, he's thinking he's doing me a favor. And, I don't own the lake. He has every right to be fishing wherever he wants to fish. I should say, "Hey, do you want to anchor there for a minute? Because you're right in the beam of the sun." And I could have had a really nice shot that would have, exchanged emails with him and gotten him a print or gotten him a digital image too. But I just, I was in a weird frame of mind. It was a strange day that day, and I was like, "Oh yeah, well, whatever." And I should have just stopped him and said, "Why don't you stop there just for 30 seconds? Let me get a picture of you." And it could have been cool. But, missed opportunities. There will be other ones down the road.
Yeah. So I think I probably know the answer to this next question.
Is this a backpack question?
No, but let me think of one.
Okay.
I'll try and squeeze one more in. But what's your favorite thing about NEPA?
Oh, wow. Is it wrong to say the pizza? The pizza here is damn good. We have we have the best pizza anywhere. It's the views and the nature. And it's funny, you hear people so often say how there's nothing to do here and whatnot. Maybe compared to some big cities, there's not. But just get out and go for a drive. Like, you don't even need to go in the woods to see the beauty we have in the valley, or in the northeastern Pennsylvania region, or NEPA. I'm not going to say.
Valley.
I'm not going to say.
Don't you dare say.
I'm not going to pronounce it. No,
don't you dare
I can't stand the pronunciation.
Yeah, the other. We won't even say that other word.
It's not in the dictionary right here. It's not in that big book.
No, it's not in the unabridged dictionary.
In a previous life, I would deal with clients who came in from all over the country on a regular basis. And more often than not, they'd be here in summer or winter and whatnot. And I'd always say, you need to come back and visit us in autumn, because the valley just turns golden and orange and everything else. And, in winter, I love it when it snows. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I hate the snow, blah, blah, blah." If you look around our valley in the winter, if there's no snow in those mountains, the entire valley is brown and gray. So when there's white in those mountains, you have, white with little black sticks all over the creation, but it's not just big, blah, drab gray and like winter could be. But
Yeah.
Did I answer your question? I kind of rambled there.
No, you did.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
had a
2
feeling-
minutes ago, right?
Yeah, I almost forgot what the question was, but then I
right.
thought of it, you know. But no, I kind of thought it maybe be the nature aspect, just because of your some of your photographs of nature. And by the way, the Webster's Dictionary.
Oh, no.
Do they even still make those? Like, are dictionaries even still made?
Oh, yeah.
Are they?
In fact, they just added a word to, I think, the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And
Is this a joke? It's
back. I don't believe it's a joke. I didn't go on Snopes and look it up, and I saw it and I cringed. It's like, oh, what new hell is this? 2020 has been strange enough the way it is. Irregardless is not a word, but
was just
apparently
added to a
as of
dictionary?
2020, it's now actually a word. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If anyone knows anyone at Webster's, they're going to have to start paying me for saying Webster's so many times.
They may sue you for saying Webster so many times.
Well,
So
that's okay. They'd be jackasses if they did.
is that word again?
Yeah.
Why couldn't we use a different
I
word?
used
A nicer
their
word.
own. Mike is putting the dictionary away. He's hiding it
Why
now.
did you do that?
I used their own words against them.
I think Mike's hiding for fear of us finding another word.
You missed my joke. Hopefully people who are listening heard my joke.
I'm sorry.
I said I used their words against them. See what I did there?
Yeah, it's not that good of a joke.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was.
Okay, all right.
thank
It was good. It was good. I was too busy talking over you. So
You were, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you knew, but this was my show.
sorry.
Yeah. Thanks.
I thought it was. Well, your producer Mike and I are gonna have our own show called Off the Stacks.
Are you?
We talked about it. We're getting incorporated and everything.
I'd be
You
like,
just cut the sound.
yeah, we did. This podcast is over. Have a good night. Yeah, so I got some competition now, huh?
No, you don't.
All right.
It's funny sitting here now in the hot seat, as it were.
I was gonna say, how does it feel to be on the podcast? And normally, you're taking photos of, me and a guest, but today you are the guest, so it's like photos of Darren by Darren. It's kind of like
It's a little surreal, but we live in that that world of people taking selfies. We should probably go stand in a bathroom mirror and take a picture. 'Cause that's what everybody does
think so.
online. We're not going to.
Well, I sat on my booster seat today. We have my booster seat. Yes.
Well,
I sat on my booster seat on the stacks, and I took the selfie with the 17-inch lens that you have on there.
it's a 70 to 200 millimeter. It's not 17 inches long.
Whatever, close enough.
Okay.
Looks it.
I got bad news for you. It's gonna be blurry.
Well, debatable. We'll see.
we shall
We'll see what happens.
Right.
Most people will probably call me a jackass for that photo.
There's that word again. Can we get a different
The
word?
dictionary's going away again.
Perhaps something that isn't, I don't know, PG-13.
Like, what do you want? Like
I don't know.
like a G-rated, like giraffe. I see
there is a giraffe.
There's a
That
giraffe.
is another animal. It's not a jackass.
Yeah. Wow, we're on like an animal kick here.
Those are gables.
What are they?
Gables.
What's that?
The peak of a roof.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, well,
Clearly, I don't read the dictionary much, so I'm still.
I have a degree in English.
I'm
I know a lot of words.
I'm still. I don't. Clearly, I'm still. I mean, that's why it's here. Actually, I'm still learning big words.
No, that's never a bad thing.
Yeah, as a host of the podcast, I need to learn words.
Good job.
Thank you.
I know you're getting for Christmas this year a word of the day calendar.
That's what you're getting me?
That's what I'm getting you. Yep.
Sweet.
I'll get you an old one though.
All right.
You've catching up to do.
And get me the new Webster's New Universal Unabridged Dictionary with the word irregardless.
With irregardless.
Yeah. But I prefer this one better. It's as thick as
It's monolithic.
Yes, it's as thick as your 17-inch extended lens camera. And it's pretty cool. It's like from 1980, I think.
Don't make things weird.
The dictionary's old, not your camera.
Right.
Just, so people listening, because they don't really see it, but,
Right.
So I think we're going to take this off the stacks now. And
Mike and I are going to sue you for using that off the stacks.
Well, little do you know, I've already copyrighted it.
Foiled again.
Yeah.
You are truly a genius, Bill.
Nice try, but sorry to ruin your hopes and dreams.
Bill, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me. It's been a lot of fun and a little surreal, but cool. Really cool.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed
you.
it. So Darren Elias, DarrenElias.com. Oh, and also your prints are available on your website for sale. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, on my website too. Yep.
Cool. So DarrenElias.com, On the Stacks podcast. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about the On the Stacks podcast, be sure to search the hashtag On the Stacks on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. We'll catch you next time on the Stacks.